Dan, do you have the clicker? Hi, I'm Lewis Allison, and I'm the founder of UnaWatch. So before I really get into the pitch, I want to ask the audience a question, a bit of an experiment. Can you please put your hands up if you've got a drawer full of old tech at home? Thank you. That's almost everyone in the audience. And that really highlights the issue here. Many of our devices, including our smartwatches, are often thrown away prematurely due to cracked screens, dead batteries, or because they simply didn't have the latest feature. The fact is that our smartwatches are just not designed to be repaired or upgraded. But that changes with Una. Una is a modular, repairable GPS running watch that has been built with sustainability in mind. Every part of the watch can be replaced or upgraded, including the battery and the display. The running watch market continues to grow year on year. Running clubs are popping up everywhere. In fact, some of you in the audience might have been at the VC Run Club event earlier this week. The GPS running watch market is worth $10 billion, with 50 million devices shipped globally last year. But 40% of those devices will experience some kind of failure and force their users to buy a new watch earlier than they'd planned. So that's why we launched Una. We launched Una on Kickstarter just last month, and we received £250,000 of pre-orders from just over 1,200 backers, putting us in the top 1% of Kickstarter campaigns globally. We also have an Una for Industry design platform, where we use our modular platform to design wearables for industry and health customers. We've already delivered a 6-figure contract, which was a monitoring watch for train drivers to detect fatigue, and we have other opportunities in the pipeline. We have really strong unit economics. At launch, our CAC was below £60. As well as watch sales, we sell spares and upgrades. And due to customer feedback, we're making this watch one of the most developer-friendly watches available, and we'll be launching an app store later this year. So we've already demonstrated early signs of product market fit, and we're now aggressively going after the GPS watch market, and we're trying to raise £1.5 million to help us do that and give consumers a more sustainable option when it comes to their wearables. Thank you. That was Q&A. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Go for it. Sure. Okay, so things you can change. If we come back to this slide here. So you can change the type of display. So it's currently a sunlight readable display. That could change to an AMOLED display. You can change the sensor, so if more accurate GPS becomes available, you can change that. You can change the type of Bluetooth, so if you wanted to stream music, you can upgrade the watch. Or if a new type of health sensor becomes available, such as blood pressure monitoring, you can upgrade that. You probably can't change the 4-button structure. That's part of Una Core, for example. So a lot can change, but yeah, you can't change the diameter of the watch, obviously. And we're not saying we'll never do a V2. We're just not going to launch 10 watches a year like Garmin do. We're maybe going to launch one every 2 or 3 years and then support that for an extended period of time. So yeah. It's £270 when we go to general on sale. When we launched last month, we offered a discount to Kickstarter backers, and the average price was about £200. The problem we're solving is that many other sports watch users, Garmin, for Apple Watch, Coros, after 2 years when the watch is out of warranty, you drop the watch on your bathroom tiles, you crack the display, you can't order spare parts, you can't repair it yourself, and you're forced to buy a whole new watch when you've got a perfectly working watch other than maybe one part that should be replaced. So it's addressing the sort of new right to repair movement. Framework laptops in California are doing a great job on laptops. Fairphone in Amsterdam for phones, but no one else apart from us is doing it for wearables just yet. Yeah, so we've not done a full audit of the supply chain just because we're a very new company. We're just over a year old. We'd love to completely audit the supply chain. Fairphone do a great job of that. They're audit every single part of their production process. We're going with factories that we've worked with before. So previously I worked in a golf watch company. So for speed of delivery, we're focusing on factories that we know. But over time, we'd like to yes, make the process as green as possible as well. Yeah, so 70% of our revenue will come from consumers, so runners, cyclists, hikers, anyone else who has a GPS watch, and 30% of our revenue comes from the Una for Industry platform. No, typically Garmin. So Garmin is our main competitor. The Apple Watch, battery life is only 24 hours a day typically. We can get 10 days of battery out of this, so it's just similar to a Garmin. The problem is, Garmins are expensive and they break and you can't replace them, so that's who we're competing with. We're going to grow the brand ourselves, so I know that's ambitious, but we think the Una brand can really grow. We've got a great marketing director sitting over there who's grown other brands before, and yeah, so very much we're going to scale this ourselves, yeah. Sure. Yes, you can. So the software is almost completely open as well. Little parts of it are protected, but we're releasing a software development kit, and basically developers can actually contribute to the software as well. So for example, we had a bodybuilder contact us and said, does it have bodybuilding? And we said, well, no, not right now. He said, well, I'd like to build for it. So he's developing the bodybuilding app for Una. So we'd love to work with like a sustainable trainers brand, maybe the one I'm wearing, like On Running or someone like that. But yeah, we're not really focusing on the exit right now just because we're so new. But I mean, 6 or 7 years down the line, we can see us working with like a big sportswear brand, something like that. The team is 8 full-time equivalents, so yeah. So can I. Okay, thank you.
All right. There you go.
Hi, we're Surgery AI, and we're on a mission to bring down waiting list times for treatment with a smart scheduling solution. There's a big problem in England right now. There's a lot of patients waiting for treatment, and oftentimes they're waiting in pain with their conditions worsening over time. And this is a huge problem for hospitals, costing them hundreds of millions of pounds in lost operating theatre time every year. I'm Natalie. I'm co-founder and CEO, and I've experienced the frustrations of poor scheduling firsthand as a nurse, but also as a patient, having waited almost 2 years to receive this surgery. I'm joined by an incredible team, my co-founder and CTO, Anna, who's a machine learning engineer and an AI expert, and Ahmed, who's a full-time software engineer, and he's got 15 years of experience full stack development. We also have on our board of advisors an orthopedic surgeon and compliance and commercial experts. So what is Surgery AI? We're a smart scheduling solution that's tailored to each individual hospital. Now there's 2 main components. The smart predictions, and these are from machine learning models that are trained on specific past surgery data. And then there's the advanced auto-scheduling algorithm, which allows booking coordinators to automatically schedule a long list of patients with just the click of a button. So from our initial case study, which was a data set of 5,000 complex hernia surgeries, we were able to demonstrate a 14% increase in operating theatre utilization, which unlocks approximately £9 million of additional revenue for the average NHS trust. With our current business model, that would mean a 6.4x ROI for our clients. So far today, in the past year, we won a Innovate UK Smart Grant for £300,000, which allowed us to develop the platform and secure 3 pilots, with one of which is going to be our first paid pilot in Australia coming up this summer, and 2 others in large NHS trusts. Today, we're asking for 500K for our pre-seed round, and that is to get us through the pilots and then convert those into commercial contracts so that we can scale from there and reach our 50 million in ARR by 2030. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope to have some exciting conversations with some of you after, helping hospitals get patients treated sooner. Thank you very much.
So on your last slide, you're expecting to close NHS by the end of the year as a customer? looks like you have a variety.
Hello. Yeah, this one's working. Pink. Pink's my color. It's good. Yes, so we're going to have a paid pilot in Australia, and we plan to. So it's a 3-month pilot in West Hertfordshire NHS Trust, which is due to start in July, and after the 3 months, the plan is to convert it into a commercial contract by Q4.
Do you think it's realistic?
Yes.
I know you just started obviously doing pilots, but what have you thought about in terms of your unit economics and your revenue model? Can you just take us quickly through that?
So, I mean, my co-founder's and Anna, and she's very good at financial modeling. I don't know if you don't mind if I ask her to come up and she can run you through So on average, we're estimating a £1.4 million per contract, per NHS contract, and that's how we've estimated that by 2030, we're hoping to have at least 50 public and private hospitals on board, because not all contracts are going to be every operating theatre. So it's essentially our pricing model is per operating theatre per month. It's a SaaS model, and that's so essentially considering the amount of operating theatres that each hospital has, that's how we're going to charge them on a yearly basis. Yeah.
Could you explain to me, as a patient, how that journey changes if I go through Surgery AI, and also?
Sure.
In that sense, I can see how you take away the admin side. How do you actually make sure the operating theatre is utilised better?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, patients themselves won't interact with the platform. They'll just reap from the benefits. So essentially, it's a booking coordinator that will be the main user of this platform. And right now, they use incredibly manual and outdated systems, and they're pulling information from a lot of different places. And it's very complicated, it's very time-consuming, and it means that they have less patient-facing time. So the idea is that they will be able to spend less time actually booking these patients, but then those patients actually get seen sooner because sorry, I'm probably not explaining it very well, but the machine learning model is where the accurate predictions of the duration come in, which means that we can then accurately fill up the list. Right now they use very median times, and so there's either a lot of undertime or overtime, gaps in the day, and so it's incredibly difficult to predict how long a surgery is going to take. There's often, plus or minus depending on the type of surgery. And so this helps to make sure that it's filled in the best possible way.
Sorry, and I would assume, just last question, I would assume that on NHS they use, different systems,
yeah,
and potentially even different system between different hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
How easy it is to implement what you have in terms of actual, on a day-to-day stuff and replace all of the system? That's why I was asking you a question before, if you think it's realistic, because I think it takes bloody forever with them.
It does, yeah. It takes a long time, but we've been working on the integration piece is obviously huge, and that's something that we've been very, very intent on getting right. And so yes, there's a lot of different systems. The main one we're working with is Cerner or Epic, and we've got APIs in place to integrate seamlessly with them. And I'd love to I should have asked Anna to come up from the beginning because she's the tech person. She knows a lot more about the tech side of things. But the idea is that we will work very closely with hospitals in order to make that process as seamless as possible. We're not trying to take over, we're not trying to change their electronic patient record. We're just trying to improve the theatre management system in order to help them schedule better. That's something that's not really taken into account right now in the EPRs. They manage so many different things that it's very difficult to be very good at one thing.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is George Hunter, and I'm from Carno Engines, and we make the most efficient engines in the world. And we are using these to reduce the cost and emissions for heavy-duty power, things like for the maritime sector, off-grid energy, HGVs, and portable gensets. These industries are currently almost entirely dependent on the diesel engine, a technology which has experienced no real innovation in about 70 years, causing their costs to go up for power, even while they're facing increasing pressure to decarbonize. So the way we solve this is, whereas a conventional diesel engine is about 35% efficient, we operate at about 70% brake thermal efficiency. The only reason this matters, and our core value to our customers, is if you double efficiency, you halve your fuel consumption, saving vast amounts of money. Even better, we can use any fuel, and we can change any time. We run on hydrogen, ammonia, methanol, biofuel, biogas, LNG, diesel, and we can upgrade any engine to any other fuel anytime we want. So this provides an incredibly flexible, decarbonizing solution, whilst also de-risking any decarbonizing strategy. And to give you a sense of the scale of the breakthrough, we are actually about to break 2 world records for the most efficient engine and the lowest fuel consumption engine ever made. So, but this is not just a dream, we've actually done it. So our proof of concept engine has been running since, for the last sort of 4 years or something. Prove we can make it, prove that it's manufacturable, prove that we can patent it, and this is the engine that sort of bumped out the cobwebs, got it all working. We are now effectively making our first product, the 50 kilowatt engine, which is validating the efficiencies and the multi-fuel capability, and critically delivering all of our field trials, most notably the UK's first hydrogen auxiliary engine going to sea. So, having proven the tech and having proven the commercial viability, the next big stage, and the reason we're here, is to build the pilot line. And so what we want to do, we want to raise an additional £2 million to shrink our timelines, take a year out of our time to market, get that 50 kilowatt engine to the customers, and service some of the 3,500 engines that we've already got on pre-order before we then deliver the 200 and 500 kilowatt variants. We have a world-class team, predominantly with an engineering team from Formula One backgrounds, and we are the team that is going to become the world-leading manufacturer for low-cost, decarbonized heavy power. So that's us. Thanks very much.
Quite cool. Thank you very much. Oh my God, the question I had. The question. Okay.
So, thank you. My question was going to be around, you said 3,500 already on order. Who's your...
More specifically, 3,655 at last count.
So, who's your target customer, like customer persona?
Yeah, so for the 50 kilowatt engines, so the smaller ones, that's portable gensets, hybridized power, things like that. These are the sorts of, imagine power you get at a festival or at a construction site or something like this. And indeed work boats, so the kind of, the sort of boats you'll see moving around a harbor or something like that. That's for the 50 kilowatt, sort of our single cylinder baby engine. 200 kilowatt then goes to off-grid power, larger maritime engines. By the time we get to the 500 kilowatt engines, we're on the big ship auxiliary engines. We're on off-grid power, so we're doing a lot of work at the moment, especially in the States, on off-grid power for things like data centers and large industrial sites. So the sites that have their own significant energy demand, but it's an engine, right? We use it where there's diesel.
So that's a really cool idea. Interchangeable engine is how I'm going to summarize it. What's your price point from those ranges? Because you've got a massive different range there.
So the way we price it is basically if you take it to an equivalent diesel engine. So we come in about 1.5 to 2 times the capex cost of an equivalent diesel engine, but the unit economics for us are simple. We focus on high utilization applications where the fuel cost is like 90% of the total cost of ownership. So if the engine's twice the price, but I'm saving half my fuel, I'm paying that off in a year. So we just focus on not backup power, not intermittent utility. It's prime power where you're using it all the time. And in those sectors, they can handle the capex as long as you're saving them fuel.
How difficult it is to replace the engine? Whatever existing now to what you guys have.
Oh, I see. So let's take a ship, for example. That's a very typical example we spend a lot of time on. For the auxiliary engines, so this is the engine that powers the ship, like lights, subsystems, not the main engine that moves it around. Our engines are coming in at maybe 1/3 of the footprint because everything shrinks with efficiency. You know, we get 50 kilowatts out of a single cylinder 250cc engine, which normally needs 2.5 liters for liters. So space, pretty easy. You know, we don't have oil systems, we don't have cooling systems, so we don't have to link into some of the ancillaries. But basically, it's a size problem. You know, if you shrink it and it's less, then we can retrofit most things pretty easily.
And is it something that takes a lot of time in terms of like the cost for these companies? Would it still make sense for them to replace this because they're going to save longer term on the fuel consumption?
Yeah, so most of these asset classes, so like a ship, for example, they'll be replacing their auxiliary engines every 10 years anyway. And the same re-engineering an HGV, pretty normal. We wouldn't do that. We are engine guys. We have partners, they do the hybridizing, they do the upgrade, they know chassis, we don't know chassis. So it'll be a partner thing, but the mechanism to re-engine stuff it's an industry standard.
And how come your engine works differently to whatever else is out there?
Yeah, well, here we go. That's the magic. At a high level, it's about eliminating energy losses. So the name Carnot, Nicholas Sadi Carnot, was actually one of the fathers of thermodynamics. And he proved 200 years ago that theoretically we can make a heat engine 85% efficient. 200 years after he proved this, we're in the 30s. So, but to do this is a longer discussion, and you've got to start again. Blank slate, new materials, new design, new fundamentals, new energy management, and a few clever brains, and then me doing the commercial side, and we get where we are.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful question. Thanks, guys.
Founder in the room. Yes, we do. Let's give a round of applause. These companies they just make me very excited, honestly. Here you go.
Nice. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kumi Oludoi, CEO of Sorare Technologies, the leading autonomous surveillance company on a mission to help industrial companies protect what matters most, their assets. Now, we define assets as people, property, and profits. Across the board, millions of pounds are spent on asset protection services such as CCTV cameras, insurance premiums, and even physical security staff. But even with all of this expenditure, companies still experience losses from break-ins, thefts, and vandalisms. CCTV blind spots are easily exploited by criminals. There's insufficient response times on large industrial sites for mobile patrol units to go from one side to another. Plus, there's increasing staffing costs as well, making it harder to get the security that you need to secure your site. Companies understand that if they don't adapt to the rises in crime, that they'll closely be on the verge of losing their customers' trust. But at Sorare, we don't want that to happen. So we developed the SorareNet, Sorare's completely autonomous security and surveillance solution. It's a central intelligence platform that connects with all of your existing hardware, such as cameras, sensors, and even autonomous drones and vehicles. But we use AI as an overlay to help them work together so that you can build your own autonomous security and surveillance network with robotics. The SorareNet is built to enhance on-site security operations, increase surveillance coverage, and detect threats at the earliest stages. Currently, we have gathered a number of product metrics with our customers, and we have 55 hours of total customer flight time, 340,000 square meters under our surveillance, plus 207 patrols, and we were also involved in 7 incidents where our technology was used not only to inspect incidents, but also deter potential criminals from breaking in. We're targeting a global security market worth £113 billion. In Europe, there's over 6 million industrial sites, 2.5% of them having sites larger than 150,000 square foot, which is our sweet spot. In terms of our competition, we're the only ones who are creating an autonomous surveillance network that not only detects, responds, but also helps you automate your patrols as well. We've gathered some really great traction, and recently we gained the approval from the Civil Aviation Authority to conduct beyond visual line of sight operations with our drones. We're deployed on 2 industrial sites right now and are working with some really reputable companies in the security as well as logistics and industrial industries to roll out our solution. We have some great partners that are helping us do this though, and they are reselling partners. So these are companies that are going to resell our solution to their existing customer base and beyond. And this is how we're going to achieve the exponential growth and scale that we envision for the company. We're raising 500K minimum in order to go through our next sets of milestones. If there's any investor in the room who does have, for example, let's say more appetite to put more funds in, then I'll be glad to speak to you as well. Our last round last year was led by LVCN, a global prop tech fund, and we're on a mission to help industrial companies protect and make their sites safer. These are the people who are doing it, including myself. We are a mixture of technology and logistics experts, and we are the ones who will crack this problem and create a safer place for commercial industries. Thank you very much for listening. Check 1, 2.
Thank you. Very good pitch. Now, I can see the benefits of it, and human security guards become quite expensive over time. Security cam was fairly cheap on the initial build. How's your cost difference adding up on install and ongoing?
Great question, great question. I'll talk about time first. So as you might know, when you're setting up CCTV infrastructure across a large site, you need to pay for wiring, obviously the hardware itself, and that also takes time to even install in its own right. But with our system, we can actually deploy our drones, smart sensors in under like 4 hours. So we can give rapid deployment to any customer. In terms of cost, so our cost for a whole contract is almost compared to security guard, but ours is like half or maybe even 60% cheaper. So we can give you the surveillance that you need, the autonomous surveillance, for about 30,000 a year. And obviously, as you increase your security detail, that rises. Then a good thing is, if you stick with us for 2 years, 3 years, we can give you some discounts over the longer period of time. So we're definitely saving you money on getting CCTV cameras by replacing it with our technology, especially on construction sites.
Okay, and final thing, this might sound dumb,
That's all
but
right.
visual elements are a lot easier to track automatically, but audio can be a bit harder, especially when you've got drone noise going on.
Very
Are
true.
you still tracking that as well?
No, not necessarily. I think some of our manufacturing partners do have two-way audio systems, but as you said, sometimes it's difficult to even hear when you've got the drone going in the background. So I think audio we might look for later, but it's really about the detection, computer vision as well.
So we've gone through price point and everything, but you've got some traction there. So can you just take us through like the full value of your item in terms of a number of customers? It's just understanding your revenue model.
So DP World on the right, that's like a direct customer. So they're a maritime logistics company. So they're working with us to enhance their current security detail. But on the left, you have ASL, Argenbright. So they're a distribution partner and a security company. So they're using our solution to supplement their current costs, because as you can imagine, they have like 90% of their overheads being labor. So if they can use our solution, they've got a chance to supplement that a bit and save a bit more margin.
Quick one is, what's the dream for the company? Where are you heading? Where do you want this to go?
Oh, with the vision?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely global, definitely global. I think right now with the partners that we're working with, we just want to gain as many sites and get the technology in as many places as possible. It's a new type of technology, new type of system. And I think obviously in the logistics industry, they're not so welcome to new things. So I think we just got to crack that first and then I'll be able to answer that.
So the way it works, you pretty much have drones flying around and just filming everything.
Yeah, that's
instead
right.
of
Yeah.
And in terms of how this works, of like batteries and the area, like the coverage area.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I mean, we use drone-in-a-box solutions. So the drones always have their own hive. They take off from there, they land in there, they charge themselves. And then, sorry, your other question was the other
Coverage area.
Coverage, yeah. So the one that's on the board right now is like 500 to 1,000 meters in radius. But we've got another manufacturing partner whose drones can take us to like 3 kilometers in one flight.
And it's obviously all automated, right?
All automated, yeah. But you can take over and do some manual functions, manual inspections if you want as well. No worries.
All right, one more round of applause.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks. It's great to see a good crowd. First thing I'd like to do is just ask a quick show of hands on who has used a large language model search engine like ChatGPT or Perplexity in the last week. Okay, well, I think that's given us a great start to this because you've just demonstrated the fundamental shift that is taking place within search at the moment and the way in which we look to find information and gather information online. Here at Subject, we're building out the next generation of AI tools to assist digital publishers and brands, both to remove and eliminate painful manual tasks, but actually to then automate optimization tasks that will allow them to be surfaced in large language model search and general search moving forward. Our aim is essentially to maximize brand visibility and content engagement for the AI search era. There's a rather worrying statistics for publishers at the moment. Gartner are forecasting that organic traffic is due to reduce by 50% in the next 3 years. Now, to give that a commercial context for publishers and brands, when you look at a one-to-one correlation for search traffic and traffic to site, and commercial revenues, then a 50% decline, means a 50% decline in revenues. So essentially, this is seen now as an existential threat, both to publishers and to anyone looking to use search as a way to bring people to their products. However, on the flip side, these large language model search engines are growing at astronomical speed. They're outstripping the growth with social media platforms. And what we're seeing is that over 1 billion searches a day are being made on these platforms to find information. And so any brand or publisher that can be cited and their brand recognized within these large language model search engines has a huge opportunity to continue to market their products and their services and their content to a search generation. So coming back to what we're doing here at Subject, we're building out an API-first suite of tools that will allow digital publishers and content generators not only to save huge amounts of time by removing manual processes that are taking up hundreds of hours a week with regards to some publishers, and by automating tasks such as internal linking of articles, tagging of articles, and then moving through to helping with regards to structuring schema markup. All of these will ensure that they are they have their brands recognized by large language model search and search in general. The team together, that's myself, who's the CEO and co-founder. My business partner, Ben, is sat at the back of the hall. We have Dr. Joe Lisk, who's the head of research. We also have Eric Carter, the head of engineering. But the key thing here is that Ben and I have been, our careers have been within the publishing and the brand marketing world. We have experienced the pain points that we're looking to eradicate within our customer profile. And so we're best placed to be able to deliver these tools to a market that is absolutely in demand for them. So we bootstrapped Subject up until the first quarter of this year. And within that time, we hit some key milestones. We now have a fully functioning MVP that is now being out there tested in the marketplace, where we already can fully automate article tagging and internal linking. We also built out the suite of APIs to ensure that we can deliver the product to our customers directly into their CMS and into their workflows. And we have begun to bring together around a dozen paid-for pilots and also a paying customer, all within our beta stage. We opened around an SEIS round of 250,000 earlier in the year. We have successfully raised 125,000 of that, partly due to a relationship that we built with EHE, which is a Manchester-based venture studio. However, we're here today to look to complete that round, and with the funds that we're hoping to achieve is to fast-track our product development. We're looking at building in some customer experience from a fractional perspective, and we're looking to hit that 30,000 monthly recurring revenues by Q1 of next year. So that's me, and that's the presentation. So please, any questions?
Hi, thank you for that. I know you said you asked everyone if they're using Gen AI, but
Yes.
now more people are now building their own AI agents. So what is differentiating you from any business actually creating this themselves?
So we can actually help our customers build their own AI sort of chat solutions, search solutions as part, but the products that we're delivering are API first, but also we're building out some AI agents to ensure that happens, because actually a lot of the customers that we're dealing with don't have their own technology teams. They're not yet advanced enough to be able to do their own, and we assist them with that. We restructure their data that they have, their archives, and we can actually create a sort of a generative search engine built specifically on their data. That's part of the product suite that we've got.
And is this also trying to get them tagged? So I search on a chatbot, and then it links me to that article, whatever business. Now, I can see the logic of that. It's a new method of search. You want to be more visible on it. But you'd have to explain to me, so forgive my ignorance.
That's okay.
On how the commercials work in that sense. You know, AdSense is pay-per-view, so if I go onto the article, the publisher gets paid for me looking at the website. How do they still get paid if I'm just reading it from a chatbot summary?
So really what we're looking to achieve here is visibility, because you're absolutely right. We're moving into a world of zero-click search. I mean, I think Google and Google Gemini has sort of kicked that off. What we're finding with large language model search and being able to be cited and actually have those links, you are still generating referral traffic back to your site. I think the most important thing is that this is an opportunity. We do, from a data structuring perspective, and what our product suite does, it assists also with general search, what we would call kind of Google search. But the key opportunity here is all around large language model search, and not just large language model search. It's going to be evolving. I mean, Gartner predicts that it should be 60% of the search market, so it's an opportunity really to get on the front foot now.
Amazing. So let's do a final round of applause. Okay, great. So are you ready for the next company? Applause.
Actually, in a change of program here, do people recognize this image? Hands up if you recognize the image. Nobody, honestly. So most of you will have heard of the ongoing court case with Stable Diffusion or Stability AI versus Getty Images. This is one of the images that Getty Images is using to prove that Stable Diffusion scraped their database and is using their photographs and even their logo without their permission. So it's a copyright issue here. Moving on to the presentation. Okay, in a post-generative AI age, it's becoming increasingly difficult to distinguish between what is real and what is fake. Wouldn't you agree? Both of these images are plausibly real, but actually only one really is. The easiest way for us to know this would be to actually label the assets, and that's exactly what we do at Tickbox. So you'll notice in the top right corner, there's a little icon that says CR. CR stands for Content Credential, and this is a new standard that's being rapidly adopted by all media organizations and technology companies. You will see more and more of this, and actually these pictures are taken from LinkedIn, so this is already rolled out on LinkedIn. When you click on the CR icon, you get a panel that explains to you who created the asset, is it generative AI, is it available for licensing. Increase the panel a little bit more. If it's processed by us, it will also show a URL. You click on that URL and you go back to our site where you can see a full licensing agreement. You can review that agreement, agree to the agreement, and make royalty payment if that is due. So we've basically closed the loop in that regard. So what we see here is that we're able to do what we do because we bring together legal expertise and technical expertise to bring an end-to-end workflow. At the beginning of our workflow, we have a no-code license builder that law firms and content creators can use to create custom licensing agreements, or they can use one of our template license agreements. We take metadata from that license agreement and insert it or embed it into the actual asset. And we also add provenance information, whether it's deepfake or created by a human. That asset, their picture or the video, can go live wherever it needs to live on the web, so you can use it as normal. Somebody discovers it, and they can see whether it's generative or not. If a bot scrapes for it, they could also read the machine-readable label, so the bot now knows whether this asset is available for machine learning purposes or not. Do they have to pay royalty for it or not? So we're able to, now is a great time for everybody to start adding labels to their assets, because about 50% of the content that was used to train Stable Diffusion actually came from Shopify sites, from WordPress sites. A lot of businesses are using these platforms to create their online presence, and unknown to these businesses, their assets have been scraped for machine learning purposes. The other 50% of the assets that were used to train Stable Diffusion came from stock image sites like Getty Images, and the big companies are already suing. So we launched our product at the end of last year. working with a SaaS business model. So we partnered with Sheridan's law firm, which have expertise working with media and entertainment. And we're targeting a huge market. So the 7.9 billion figure that you see there is for traditional digital asset management. So this is what the big media organizations are using. But actually the opportunity is a lot bigger because they don't cater for smaller content creators, we do. We're a team of 3 with 39 years of total experience. And we're raising 1.5 million. We have 200K committed to that already. And by the end of 3 years, we'll have a fully functional asset management system for UK and the US. So we're agnostic to legal places. And a fully functional data intelligence and analytics system as well. Any questions?
Who are the customers and what is the business model?
So it's a SaaS revenue model. We are launching, working with boutique law firms that have a lot of expertise working in copyright specifically. So that's why we've done the work with Sheridan's. We're currently also speaking to Shillings that do brand management and reputational management. So if you're a celebrity and your asset is taken and deepfake is created of it, then that needs to be managed. So we're launching with them, and then we are quickly working with media production houses. The BBC, Channel 4, Comcast, Sky have made a big announcement, and they want companies that work with C2PA, which is the standard that I mentioned earlier, to come and work with them, because even though they're huge media organizations that have existing management systems, this new standard is a little bit more challenging for them. They've got existing tech, and this is new for them, so they're looking to outsource that, and we want to partner with them to outsource that, and that's happening right now.
Sorry, I don't understand who's going to pay for this, or like who's paying for this?
So it would be enterprise organizations or businesses. Later on, we will open up the product, so it's self-service for smaller content creators. So anybody who owns an asset, they know the value of their picture, they know the value of their video, and they want to license it, anybody will be able to use it eventually.
And then how can this be marked across all different social media? I assume that this needs to be, it needs to have some kind of like tech on their side in order for your thing to work with them, right?
Sure, and so that's why this standard, C2PA, is really important. So Google signed up for it. They implemented it on YouTube, so that is earlier this year. LinkedIn have implemented it, and the icons that I showed earlier were directly from LinkedIn. Google is going to have a more broader implementation on its search features, so they already do some stuff around copyrights. They're going to show their content credentials as well.
And what's your competition?
So traditional players, so C2PA is really new, so there isn't a lot of competition in that regard. So we're one of 2 European companies that have a security certificate to roll out C2PA widely, so you need that. Existing photographic metadata or metadata tagging companies, all they do is just label something as owned by X person. We've actually built a system that's post-generative AI that's looked at all the different types of labels that are relevant now, and those are the labels that we figured out how to acquire them intelligently and embed them into the system.
Amazing, amazing.
Okay.
So one more round of applause.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Ojeme. I'm co-founder at Ecobel. I've also got my co-founder with me, Ben. Hi Ben. All right, so first things I'd like to say, this is not just an idea. This is actually a live business. We're in multiple sites across 3 of the biggest brands, hotel brands in the world. So Marriott, IAG, and their core brand as well. I'm going to tell you about what we do, but first, meet Mike. So Mike is a guest in a hotel. He's just checked in. He's had a long day of travel. He's tired, he's hungry, and he's calling reception to try to get something to eat, but no one is picking up. So he has to go through this dusty binders of menus, only to realize that the restaurant is literally about to close. And he calls reception again, but no one picks up. So he turns to Deliveroo. Now, at this point, this hotel hasn't just lost revenue, but it's also lost a potential long-term customer. And we've all felt this at some point, I've felt this as well, for a multitude of reasons why I've had a terrible guest experience. But the thing is, hotels are actually quite stretched. They're forced to
increase revenues with very limited staff. And this is why guests would spend a lot more outside, guests like Mike and myself. As a matter of fact, Premier Inn has released a report where over 3 million is spent on each site on local businesses by their guests. For our market, this translates to over 10 billion in revenues that hotels could be tapping into, but they do not have the resources, the tech or the people to actually explore that. But this is where we come in, right? EchoBell helps elevate the guest experience within the hotel rooms to unlock revenues both inside and outside the hotels. Guests can simply scan a code in their room, no apps downloads, no sign-ups, and this takes them straight to a web application with instant access to our AI superpowered chat agent called Bell. Now, Bell deals with everything from phone calls to messages to requests from guests and passes this on to the different departments within the hotel. What this does for staff means they can focus on the things that are more important to them. That is the human touch. And then there's also our marketplace. Here we curate some of the best things locally that has to be offered around the guests. So from taxi services to the airports, to finding spa bookings that are local to you, even childcare while you're on holiday. And every time a guest makes a booking on the application, the hotel generates a bit of revenue off those transactions. So it's creating a new source of revenue that integrates with your current systems without the capital expenditure. So we're live now, we have paying customers, we haven't had any churn till date. We're backed by some of the biggest operators within the space, so asset management companies, hotel management companies as well. The next steps for us is we're raising to close our pre-seed round. We've also had funds come in from our lead investor. We have commitments from other funds as well. The goal with this is to expand into other European cities. We want to get into over 10,000 rooms. Sorry, I can see the flag. Get to over 10,000 rooms within the next 9 months and open up our seed round. And the big vision is to unify the guest experience in the hospitality space for the guests, for the staff, and for the local communities, powered by AI. As hotels look to have AI innovate how they do things, we believe we're best positioned to capitalize on this, and we want to do this with you. So I'll take your questions.
Yes. Hi, thank you. You said you already are in lots of different hotels. So
yes.
What's your current traction in terms of
So
revenue?
we're contracted to 28 sites at the moment. And this is distributed between IHG brands, our core brands, and Marriott brands as well.
So revenue is?
About 168,000 at the moment, but we've just launched our marketplace as well, which is where we see a lot more of the revenue coming from. We had sort of like a trial thing last year. We didn't take money directly from it, but over that period, we generated over 168K in GMV, and now we're going into it to start generating revenues off the back of it, so yeah.
So on the user behavior, like why would I do this instead of like Google, Perplexity, whatever? Obviously, this is some kind of like another platform, something new that you need to like, again, like learn to even understand how it works.
So we do run off the back of Google, Gemini, and also at the moment, bits of GPT as well. We do use those other sort of AI platforms, but then it's sort of fine-tuned to the individual sites and what the hotels need. So it's not us building our own models entirely.
Why would the user use this instead of just going to Google? I don't know, like buy a bloody burger.
Because this is quite specific to the site. So there is a lot of work that's gone into building that model around for that particular site. Now you're scanning a code in the room, you have everything you need right there, and you're searching for stuff that is very, very personalized to both your stay and to that hotel as well.
It sounds awesome. You're live with 28 clients already. What successes are you seeing already? Because they're supposed to be generating more revenue and getting better experiences. What have you seen? So
first of all, we haven't had any churn till date. All of the hotels we've had, none of them have left, and we've had people that have sort of renewed their annual contract. Also with the marketplace, as mentioned, last year we had GMV of about 168K, and this was just from 2 sites. Now, across all of our 28 sites, we're going to see a lot more with that happening with our marketplace this year. So there is a lot more to come this year.
All right, final round of applause for Daniel. Okay, great. Round of applause for Michael.
So if you look around, good afternoon, first of all. If you look around the globe, and I mean the globe, the economic life of most people is shaped, not really by AI, at least yet, it's shaped by small informal businesses. They employ most people and they transact with most people. And an important subsection of those is small retailers. So in emerging markets, there are 180 million small retailers who sell more than 80% of all goods and services. So whether you want to sell toothpaste or financial services, you go through them. 28 million of them distribute e-money for mobile money, right? Which creates a revenue stream for them, which is super attractive. They make up to 15% on the capital they invest in the mobile money business. But banks, as banks do, completely ignore them because they don't have collateral and they don't have credit histories. So they don't get the capital they need to serve their customers. For example, for mobile money, they don't have enough working capital to buy float, which they need to serve customers. At Flow, we've built the only platform designed for their reality. So we use mobile money transaction data and our own KYC modules to create actionable credit profiles. And on that basis, we deliver working capital instantly, within 15 seconds on average. And that has huge impact on these small retailers. So 98% of our customers increase their business revenue and 30% double it over 3 months. We also create interoperability between the different mobile money services because that is not there in the beginning, and we give them a service to use their scarce capital much more efficiently. Now, as the gentleman before me said, we are not just an idea. We've done some loans. We've done 1 million as of last week, worth more than $200 million in 4 markets. And our repayment rate is 99.6%. 94% of our merchants are active, which means they take at least 1 loan a month. And we are integrated with 11 mobile money ecosystems in our markets. And we're profitable in Uganda, which is our first market since 2022. Financing mobile money agent float is a 4 billion opportunity in and of itself. That's what we're going for. That's what we're unlocking. And if you add inventory finance, so financing the FMCGs that these retailers sell as well, it's at least 10x that. Flow wasn't built on a whiteboard. We've been working in this space for 10 years each. Nitin, my co-founder, is here as well. So we've worked from the slums of Mumbai to rural western Uganda in more than 20 markets combined and launched products for more than 40 financial service providers before starting Flow. We're currently funded until the end of the year, but we're looking for strategic partnerships to enter into Asia and Latin America and also to build out our product suite. Thank you.
How do you determine the amount of money you're giving them, or do they determine it themselves?
No, we determine it based on the cash flows we see. So we basically see every single sell they do in the shop, and we also see the return they generate on these transactions. So based on that, we determine their eligibility, and then they can choose from different products which are tailored to them.
Okay, and I assume this comes at some highish percentage rate because it's short-term lending. Do you see many customers use this continuously as a continual float and flow? Or is it one-off and then once they've got the float, they then work on their own working capital?
Yeah, so 94% of them come back on a monthly basis. And the pricing is actually not an interest rate, it's a revenue share. So we charge 20% of the additional profits they make with the liquidity they get from us.
So does that mean you don't have any issues with regulation, or how have you come across?
We're fully licensed in all our markets. So we have 2 modules. Either we are a lender ourselves, like in Uganda we have a microfinance license. In Rwanda, we have a central bank lending license, or we partner with existing lenders in Zambia and Madagascar, for example, where we provide the platform, they have the license.
Thank you. Thank you. So one more round of applause.
Great, thanks very much. Thanks for having us. I'm great to hear that the video landed well. Brilliant. So I'm Andy Harris. I'm Managing Director at Nature Broking, and we are the premium carbon credit and natural capital intermediary. That's not us. Right. So here's the rub. every single company, if they want to reach net zero in the world, will have to use carbon credits. But the carbon credit market is not being treated as it should be, as a true financial market. So that's where nature broking comes in. We're taking financial innovations from financial markets and the way that they design products, and we're applying it to the carbon credit market to unlock scale, true scale, to reach net zero. That's why we've been so successful with these great roster of large clients so far in our first 18 months of trading. By the end of this year, we'll have done £1.6 million in revenue, and we will be profitable. But that's not where we want to just sit. We want to raise £1 million in our second round in order to supercharge our growth and take us to a huge growth journey over the next 5 years. So why does that list of clients come to us? Well, we have the sophistication and the ability to use the best, most premium carbon credits in the world and package them into financial services style solutions. Diversified, de-risk, and even insurable portfolios that can even be brought forward for large-scale institutions. It's all underpinned by our market-leading due diligence framework, which is actually now sold as a service as well to other institutions like Big Four UK banks. And in the future, we will be a fully fledged asset management service for the natural capital industry. So what's this raise for? Well, really, it's about unlocking capacity in the team. We are pretty much at capacity in the terms of the number of proposals that we've got coming in at the moment. It's about operationalizing using AI for scalability. And finally, it's about establishing ourselves in new markets and new revenue streams. So practically speaking, that's doubling down on our core market in the UK, where we've seen huge success already. It's about using AI, as I say, to operationalize, particularly around our due diligence, to take onboarding time of projects from days down to potentially minutes. And it's about taking that proven model in the UK and applying it to new markets. So look, the opportunity is now for us and the market. We don't want to just sit around as a nice, sustainable, profitable business. We want to supercharge our growth over the next 5 years. It's about taking those financial services ideas and solutions and applying it to a market that desperately needs it. That's why our chair, the former CEO of Legal and General Investment Management, is backing us as the next big thing in this market. Thank you very much.
So I've seen a lot of carbon credit marketplaces, so I'm just wanting to see what's differentiating you and what's the feedback coming back from the corporates that are using you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a great question, because I guess the point there is the word marketplace. We are specifically not a marketplace. So a marketplace, of which there are a number of carbon credit marketplaces out there, put the onus on the client in order to know what the hell they're buying. Now, there are 35,000 carbon credit projects and counting out there, some great, some terrible, all over the world. What our clients need, big institutions with big risk departments, is someone to actually guide them through what they're doing and build a very, very sophisticated and bespoke solution for them, which is often aligned to their locations around the world, can be brought forward like futures contracts, and can be delivered over time for their net zero journey. So we are a people-led, tech-enabled business. On the front end, we are people. We go and do that. We are experts. And at the back end, we're an operationalized, scalable AI service from our due diligence perspective to bring those projects on, but also for the due diligence as a service in itself. So we're not a marketplace, quite specifically.
What's pushing your clients to choose you as a solution? You'll have to remind me of the regulation. Are they being forced to decarbonize and go zero emissions, or is this purely out of the passion of the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's somewhere in between, I would say, at the moment, and it's moving very rapidly to the regulatory side. So there are some industries that are just fully regulated to do this. Airlines, for example, is the most recent one. But companies essentially have their net zero targets, which in many cases they pretty much have to have through shareholders pushing them to, customers pushing them to. It's doubling every single year, the number of large companies that have net zero targets. It's in the high kind of thousands, 9,000 or so now. But governments, supranational organizations, and organizations like the Science Based Targets Initiative are now mandating and pushing, in many cases, the use of carbon credits as part of those targets. So the UK government's just released its consultation on that. By the end of the year, it's essentially giving guidance to start doing that. SBTI has done the same. And the EU, for example, is releasing its own frameworks around actually generating credits for EU companies in the next couple of years. So all the regulations moving that way.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thanks very much.
All right, thank you.